What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp for Fightful Wrestling. This is April 20th, 2022. We're celebrating 420 with you. We did that with Fightful Select earlier. We posted a news story that WWE wrestlers are no longer getting fined for weed. Haven't been for years. We had news on Dr. Britt Baker DMD. We had news on a GCW IWTV lawsuit settlement. And we had the Reckless Speculation podcast, which correctly revealed a big show. 4 for 4 on that show now, Alex. Not quite batting 1,000 is Sour Graps, but you know what? We love you anyway. Alex Pawlowski is here. How you doing, Alex?
My reckless speculation is usually borne out over months and years.
Usually far more grim and morbid.
I recklessly speculate that by putting both titles on Roman Reigns, he'll be holding both championships by WrestleMania 40, which will kill the business. No, it's stupid what I do over there, but people seem to like it. Sean, you bought a house recently.
Yeah.
We are in the process of buying a house. I'm tired, man.
I'm tired
and I'm stressed. And there's literally stuff in every corner of our house that needs to be packed. And it's just the worst time. I don't like moving at all.
I just got through it. It is a nightmare. It is, I mean, and I had a very easy process. So, you know what? If you need a night off, we're more than happy to grant it. I know Robert DeFelice is sitting there on the on-deck circle, warming up with his bat warmer. He's ready to go.
He's got the donut on the bat,
yes.
Kind of warming up, doing the
He's ready. He's like, this. Come on.
All right,
come on, Pawlowski. Yeah. Have a seat. By the way, he did great on the Battle of the Belts review this weekend with Kate. Check that out, guys. But also check out all of our interviews this week. We have had a ton. Rhea Ripley on Monday, Dr. Britt Baker DMD today, the first interview she's done since losing the AEW Women's Championship. On Thursday, we've got Baron Black, an AEW regular, talking about Battle Slam Vendetta. And then Friday, the Good Brothers talking about Rebellion. And then Saturday, how about this? Denise and Steven Jensen are here with your Rebellion review for Impact. You can get all of our interviews early access on Fightful Select Tier 2. But we'll brag about FightfulSelect.com later on. Please leave a thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel. If you would like to get your question or statement read on the air, donate a Super Chat or Humper Chat. Super Chats are here on YouTube.com/Fightful. Humper Chats are a Streamlabs and PayPal platform. You can leave your questions or statements during the show or even before the show with Humper Chats. But we're here to talk about AEW Dynamite. And I feel like we should just pepper a lot of the New Japan stuff throughout the show, but we'll lead with that. Yeah. Shout out to the Super J Cast for really putting this on the radar of everybody. They said last week, hey, this New Japan AEW thing, it's happening. We were able to learn this week. Well, we recklessly speculated. I learned it from one source. I couldn't get AEW to confirm. I couldn't get people in AEW to confirm. But June 26th, Sunday, at the United Center, Alex, back-to-back years, they're going to sell it out. It will sell out. Absolutely will.
Oh, yeah.
And listen, I got to say that I respect Adam Cole because I also make a living by scooping Tony Khan. So give the man his $5. Go over to his Twitch and subscribe. We brought out Switchblade Jay White, which was a nice touch. Tony acting like a little fake, or like it was unplanned, was a little much. But this is a big deal. This is, I mean, we saw ROH New Japan shows. We have not seen an AEW New Japan show. And I know for a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, we've already seen a lot of crossover. We have not seen Kenny Omega jump back to New Japan. We have not seen the Young Bucks do it. We have not seen Okada or Tanahashi or, a lot of these big names that were there do it. We haven't seen that yet. Naito hasn't come over to AEW. There's an awful lot of gigantic names that this fan base specifically is really, really going to love, Alex. How you feeling?
I think it's great. I think it's great for wrestling. I think it's great for both fan bases. I think it's great for, dream matches. The thing that I saw a lot of people going towards is GTS versus GTS. Yeah. Now it has to happen. And that's awesome too. There's a lot of really great stuff. The thing I love about it is that it feels like, because I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff, it feels like there's an angle to be worked in storyline in AEW, with Adam Cole coming out and saying, I'm the reason why we're doing this, because I was such a great wrestler in Japan. It's the only reason this could happen. He brings out Jay White. And who's the guy who really is the big crossover from North America to Japan, who happens to be out currently, who might have beef with Adam Cole when he comes back? I feel like there's an awesome opportunity, if he's anywhere near ready, for this show to be the big Kenny Omega's back and he's pissed. There's a really awesome chance for that to be the big angle we're talking about coming out of this show. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of angles going into the show. But my God, think of anybody that you love in AEW. There's somebody over in New Japan who's a perfect match for them to have an amazing bout. And I can't wait.
Now there are so many pieces that have come together. I'll put it like this. AEW and New Japan have had a good relationship, but they've not done a show like this. Impact has completely repaired their relationship with New Japan. Keep in mind, a couple years ago, I had Davey Boy Smith Jr. on the record saying, I work for New Japan, and when I asked to work Impact, they said, no, Jeff Jarrett screwed us years ago. And he said, sir, that man works for WWE now. What are we doing here? So there were things that had to have been overcome there. AAA is working with AEW and Impact. We'll see how that works in with New Japan. The one piece that was the outside looking in for a while during the pandemic was ROH. ROH was on the outside looking in. That ain't the case anymore. There's so much going on. GCW is still hovering around somewhere and is able to use everybody. But I mean, also most of their guys aren't contracted. But guys, get in your super chats, your humper chats about this. We've got Nathan DePaul saying tired. Okada, Omega 4, Wired, MJF versus Great Okan. Now, MJF would team with Great Okan. I love it that he called all of New Japan jobbers, but he said, no, I kind of think the Great Okan's pretty cool, though. I just thought that was such a heel move.
Yeah.
Chris Rain says, Undisputed Elite and Bullet Club together. Now Cole versus Ishii is a qualifier. That's happening at Rampage. Mm-hmm. So I released an interview with Adam Cole last week ahead of his world title match. And I said, man, if there's one thing I want, it's this Bullet Club Civil War to have a bow put on it. But how could it happen? Two of the leaders are in WWE for who knows how long. Cody's there too. And he said, well, man, if I had it my way, we would all just get along. We'd be one big happy family and be a big super faction across all these companies. And then here we are watching him and the Young Bucks, former members of Bullet Club, with his buddies, the Undisputed Era. And then he says, oh, hey, by the way, we're bringing back this Switchblade guy that happens to lead Bullet Club too. Yep. I love it, man. I love it because I want to eventually see a full-on, I mean, we've been seeing a full-on Bullet Club war for a long time. Yeah. I love it. A lot of dream matches. We're going to have Luis separate the humper chats and super chats into dream matches and then general general questions. But Alex, any thoughts on this? Like, for example, we've got Eloquent saying, give me Pac versus Will Ospreay.
Yeah, sure. I mean, give me Eddie Kingston versus Ishii. just two little brawling powerhouses beating the hell out of each other. There are too many dream opponents for Danielson. I think he has to wrestle 3 times on the evening. I think he has to wrestle a gauntlet match himself. Because I can't see him only face one guy. There's too many people over there I want to see Danielson face.
Guys, we are going to go back and forth to this talking point very, very often tonight. Like it's going to be peppered in all throughout the show. So get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. I want to give our moderator, Luis, who does a great job, a time to sort these out, so to speak. But we did kick off the show with a match I was personally very excited for. CM Punk versus Dustin Rhodes. Alex, would you believe this is the first time they have ever wrestled?
No.
In a singles match.
No, I mean, I wouldn't, but I know that to be true. But yes, no, that seems unlikely considering how long they were both under the same roof.
Yeah. So to look back at the history of these two, they had only been involved in the same match 6 times ever.
Wow.
They were in 2 Royal Rumbles with one another. Don't know if they even touched. I can't remember. They teamed together 3 times during one of my favorite eras. And they it was within a week of each other. And that was the Shield era of WWE when they were having just, you could see a tag team match all the way up to like an 18-man tag match that was just a banger every single week. But the one match they competed against each other in saw Dustin and Dusty Rhodes and Mike Graham defeat Abdullah the Butcher, Kevin Sullivan, and CM Punk with Mick Foley as a special guest referee in 2005 at a DoubleTree Hotel in Tampa, Florida. Also on that show was Lanny Poffo, the Missing Link, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Kamala, Larry Zbyszko, Barry Windham, and Mike Rotunda, the Masked Superstar, the Grappler, Dory and Terry Funk versus AMW, Marty Jannetty. I could go on and on. I'm not gonna. Unreal. Fantastic. It was at Wrestle Reunion. 450 people were treated to that match, that card. A lot more got to see this match. Brendan Tugate says Dustin and Punk was a masterclass. Bravo to them. But E-Rob says this match didn't need to be 15 minutes long. Add a second match, women's match, please. I disagree. This was 2 guys that had orbited one another for a very, very long time, finally getting to wrestle each other. Honestly, I think at this point, however much time Dustin wants, you give Dustin whatever time he wants, and he's going to tell a story. I thought they told a great story here. Punk had some time to heal up. He's back at it. He's got his wind. Maybe Dustin's on the decline. Maybe his body's given out on him. I thought this was a fantastic match and a fantastic story. I adored the finish, the knee giving out into the cradle pin. What'd you think?
Yeah, it was very heavy on psychology and storytelling. Slow pace, but that's to be expected from a Dustin Rhodes match. Even before he started to slow down, it was always like, let's make it very methodical. And that's not for everybody. There's a very big contingent of AEW fans who just want to see people ping pong all over the ring. And that's what they're here to see. And so this isn't their speed. And I get that. I like the variety. I like knowing that I can watch this, and at the same time, later in the evening, I'll get that ping pong match. So I thought this was really, really great. But what I loved was the story after the match, because that's what I'm here for. After, as you said, the knee collapsing, dropping right into that cradle pin, like Punk basically not beating Dustin Rhodes, but just surviving him. And then that amazing show of respect afterwards between those two elder statesmen, and Punk leaving, and the Hangman comes out. So we know that's what we're getting for Double or Nothing.
We're getting that. We're getting to that. Chris Reigns, or actually E-Rob says, like, the opening match is fine. I really wanted to see Britsburg open the show. You kind of got to build to Britsburg a little bit. The pop there was her coming out and her talking. Joey Bag of Donuts says Dustin and Punk was good, but did it really have to go 20 minutes? I didn't mind it a bit. I just didn't mind it a bit. I felt like it was sort of a, you two deserve this opportunity to tell this story and have this type of match type of thing. And I love it. It's a match that you can't really put on pay-per-view, but if you put it on to open up an AEW Dynamite, you can give it a pay-per-view level treatment. And I like that. Shot Kid says there was 2 masters of the old school at work. And Jay Miles says he was hoping that Punk would win with the sharpshooter tonight with all the leg work. Hope Sheeta Deeb main events next week, but it'll probably be the TNT title. Yeah, I'd say so. But did get Hangman and Punk. of course, the day that I kind of made the decision, I'm not going to be at Double or Nothing. I'm gonna be home. I'm gonna do the post show review. Will Washington's gonna do some corresponding for us. He did a great job at Ring of Honor, but this makes me go, should I see what's flying out of Cincinnati? Like, should I should I try to be in the building for that? But Chris Rain says it's finally going to happen. I can't wait. Here's what I like. Hangman has been champion for 5-6 months now. His first 2 matches were high-profile matches against Bryan Danielson. He had one that kind of slowed the pace with Lance Archer, and then they killed it in a match. Then he had another 2 high-profile matches against Adam Cole. And what do? You go into the next best-built person, and that is CM Punk, who has been winning matches all the time, and he's one of the hottest names in the company.
And also the amount of respect showed to Punk by a locker room leader in Dustin Rhodes, one of the most venerable wrestlers in the world, will also lull you to sleep before his inevitable heel turn in the main event of Double or Nothing, where he turns into the Punk we all know him to be and cheats to beat Hangman, so we get a summer of Punk. Like right back again to him coming out there being a shithead all the time. It's going to be so great. I can't wait for it.
I'm so excited for this. I love it. We've got Eloquent saying that Dustin's selling was masterful. It was masterful, and I can't wait for Punk and Dustin, or Punk and Hangman rather.
Yeah.
We got a Samoa Joe, Sanjay Singh, and Lethal promo. First off, I want to say that Satnam Singh on Saturday looked so much better than he did on Wednesday. I don't know if maybe some of that's because his trainer, QT Marshall, was in the building and all that, but he looked way better. And I'll tell you one thing I really liked, the emotion I saw out of him. Like, he looked like he wanted to fight Samoa Joe, and he had to be restrained. And I was like, all right. That made me want them to not Dan Matha him. And I was like, okay, let's see what the big man can do. We have since learned, Alex, why Satnam Singh was brought in. We kind of knew it was for the Indian market.
Right.
But when WWE is out there releasing numbers, it's like, 54 million people watch WrestleMania in India. It's like, oh, yeah, that'll do it. That'll make you want to develop that star. And having Sanjay Dutt there is invaluable because he knows the market. And I don't just mean from his own background. Like, Ring Ka-King was a thing. He's got experience in the physical market there. So I'm all for that. I like the promos here. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we're going to see where they go with this. I can always do without, like, the guy who's got a job because he's gigantic, manhandling the greatest technical wrestler in the world. Like, I always don't like that. This is my own personal proclivities. Like, I'm not impressed because you're tall. I'm not. Like, that doesn't do anything for me. It's not a sideshow to me. That part of wrestling to me is dead. Like, I don't care how tall you are. I care how good a wrestler you are and how good of a storyteller you are in ring and to a lesser degree on the mic. But can you get me invested in your matches by what you do in the ring? Because that's my thing. That's what I like. Your mileage may vary, but to me, just seeing him go in there and being able to stand next to Jonathan Gresham and be like, Jonathan Gresham's already short, but like, you're doing this on purpose to make sure he looks as teeny tiny as possible.
When he was on his knee and he was the same height, and when he bounced him like a basketball, that was pretty cool. James says, can Tall Paul and QT make Sing a star? I'm a bit dubious, but hopeful. Tall Paul is a great guy for him to be taking advice from. And you got Lance Archer. You got a bunch of people that they can help take advice from, which help an awful lot as well. I love me some Sova says Mox is number 1, Punk is number 3. Do you think we see that match for the right to face Page first? No, I think they'll probably just get around it by doing that. Hangman wants to see that. Yeah. Josh Weaver said, I'd love to see a heel Punk pouring beer on Hangman to get in his head. I'm fascinated to see which guy leans into the alcohol stuff a little bit more. Shazarn says, as much as I'm excited for Punk and Hanger, I hope Hangman keeps the belt. I feel like Punk doesn't need it. He can turn heel without it. Well, that's the beauty of this and the company they're in and the stories that are often created by them is it can go any number of ways and you can see something creative. It's not a guarantee this will happen. And CM Punk could win the title in 5 or 6 months or in a month or anything like that.
I've always said that with the inevitable Punk turn, because I think like he's going to turn at some point. He's not just going to be happy to be here, Uncle Punk, the whole time. I want it to be the most impactful way possible. And the way to do that is we've built up Hangman now for 3 years as this guy who we had his confidence issues. He couldn't get over the hump. He finally beat Omega. And now he's turned into the ace of the company who's just turning in amazing matches and gets huge ovations whenever he comes out. And if CM Punk can't beat that guy and knows he can't beat that guy, but damn it, he's going to beat him some way. And that way is to blatantly cheat. That's the biggest, most impactful way for him to turn heel.
Oh, man. I'm so excited for this. I am so pumped for that match. Jade Velvet Kiera promo. Blind Cito said, always knew Jade was that good, but tonight they won me over. Kind of like the group. Happy 420. I think that group is going to help all three involved, honestly. Kiera has just natural physical charisma that she exudes and a star quality. Jade has it. She's just got it. Whatever it is, she's got it. And Red Velvet is one of those that she can have it. Yeah. She could develop it. I like this.
I am not a watcher of the Dark and the Dark Elevation. I just don't have that much time in my week as a father and trying to put together everything for our move. I don't have that much time to watch this stuff. I don't watch when they do like the Road 2s and everything. Was there ever any promo from Red Velvet that said why she was becoming the entourage for a heel, considering she was basically this baby face in the middle of the Statlander versus Layla Hirsch thing? But she was definitely wrestling babyface versus Layla. And now, because Layla, I guess, is hurt, they just scrapped that entire thing and said, well, we got nothing else for you to do right now. How about you go over and be part of Jade's entourage? Now, I don't necessarily, I like her being a part of it, but if they tried to like just turn her heel off screen and expect me to forget about it in WWE, I'd give them shit for like 20 minutes on one of my shows. So I got to like bring it up in AEW. I wish they wouldn't do stuff like that here. Just give me a sentence or two about why she's decided to run with Jade instead of being like this in this
just
other
popping
story.
Up in the baddies section. Yeah. Now, again, I don't think I'm trying to catch up on Dark and Elevation over the last 2 weeks myself. So if that happened, I missed it. Sova says, loving the baddies. That was the confusing part to me. Like, that's why I thought the Marina match should have been different. It was, like, why the hell are you all in the baddies section type of thing? Right. Like, that probably should have been it. The BCC beat the shit out of Brock, Dante, and Lee Moriarty. Zero Fear asked if Darius is hurt again. I don't know. I wondered that aloud myself. I'll find out. Thank you to Marcus Ryan for becoming a YouTube member. They're in the ring with Lee Moriarty, who they previously attempted to recruit. When I say previously attempted to recruit, Bryan Danielson mentioned him. Yeah. But he got the most shine. He was the person that the focus was kind of on in this match. Like, if you're a watcher of this show, you're going, okay, well, I want to see what Lee Moriarty does with these guys. And he did more than anybody did with them. He got a bunch of offense in. There was this fantastic exchange between Moriarty and Bryan Danielson. This violent exchange. How'd you feel about this as it unfolded?
I like you had the immediate thought of, where's Darius? I mean, Darius is back. I when I saw Dante in there, I was like, I also saw Lee on the apron. I was like, oh, cool, Top Flight and Lee Moriarty That's a hell of a trio.
Moriarty in his hometown too, I believe.
Yes, and if they ever have a trios tournament, that's a hell of a trio. And then I saw Brock Anderson, and I was like, well, big question, where the hell's Darius? Secondary question, why Brock? Why Brock Anderson as opposed to, I don't know, Big Shotty Lee, who's his tag team partner? He would feel way more at home with that trio. But whatever. I thought it was fun. But also Dante's wrestling by himself as part of the 10-man tag. It's like the Varsity Blondes, some other babyface team, and Dante versus the Undisputed Elite next week. So I don't know where Darius is, but now that he's back, I really want to see him wrestling with his brother.
Loved this match. So I loved the fact that they were all beating the shit out of people at the same time, but I don't love that the tag rules weren't necessarily followed at the same time. It was
they made reference to Icarus flying too close to the sun, so next week the sun is going to die.
Yeah. Hey, listen, for everybody complaining about the lag on the stream, listen, I ain't a stream tech. It's good for me and Alex. Just refresh.
We hear each other fine.
Yes.
I don't know what's up.
Yeah, just refresh, exit out. You'll be fine. Telling us that it's lagging, it will not help at all. It's a YouTube thing. But Baller Lasagna says Blackpool Combat Club should be available in every Marvel Capcom game going forward. I love that. I also like Regal on commentary because him putting somebody over matters. That is important.
Yeah.
Tom LaValle says Jade's going to be a babyface by Double or Nothing. It's going to be a group of women confident in themselves that I want to see them wrestle on TV every week. Yeah. Velvet did do some heel stuff after her Willow match, by the way.
Yeah. I remember she worked heel in that match, but I think that was because Willow was super over during it. So you had to have somebody work heel. But if they did an actual storyline change of heart for her, I just missed it. That's all.
Yeah. Sebastian says Dynamite was super hot fire. Episode of the year? Nah, I wouldn't say by a long shot.
Yeah.
James Barr says, in a bit of disbelief as a Villanova fan, thank you, Jay Wright, even the best coach in Nova history. Shocked, best of luck, Jay Goat at Nova. I mean, I don't understand thank you, Switchblade Jay Wright, one of the greatest coaches ever. I'm not a Villanova guy, James, but I appreciate you. Brent says, we live in a world where Minoru Suzuki can randomly show up on Elevation. It is a fine world. Yep. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I love it. You can't compare that show to Main Event. Anybody that says, oh, well, they're already on Darker Elevation. Everybody works Darker Elevation.
Yep.
They're getting their money's worth. They're adding footage to the library. They're improving records.
Yeah.
Ricardo says, happy 420. I'll hit my bong for you guys. Love you. I prefer just a good rolled J, my friend. Michael Partham says, glad AEW is coming back to Rochester, but wondering why they haven't booked Buffalo yet, especially with many wrestlers from there. Any insight, Sean? Well, I'm going to wager to say that's because Buffalo sucks ass. I think it's because Buffalo is a shitty town, a shitty city. Yeah, I just think it's because Buffalo sucks. And the people from there suck really bad. And the weather's cold and it's nasty and the football team is overrated. Yeah, I'm going to say that. But besides that, no insight. I'm sure they'll end up going there. They won't like it. They won't be happy to go back there, but they'll go back to Buffalo. Matthew says, can't even pick a single topic. So exhausted after that show. Amazing. I just feel like I saw 4 hours of television played at 2x speed. Yeah, when 10 p.m. rolled around, I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Damn, man. Melissa asking if Jeff Hardy's injured. Not that I've heard, but I mean, is he banged up?
Isn't he always?
Listen, I was at the trampoline park, and okay, so at the trampoline park, they have these big platforms, right?
Yeah.
And they say don't flip off of them. I did multiple times. And one I did was a swanton. Sure. And a swanton off of that is I'm going to lean and rotate my body a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, if he can do that, he's booked.
Yep.
He's booked.
Yep.
He can make it work. That's all it takes. Except his foam pit is usually Butcher and the Blade.
True.
Mark says AEW is the greatest wrestling promotion in the recorded history of the universe. Fightful, select me. Please subscribe to Fightful Select.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the dream matches, because we got a lot of them.
We got a lot of
people. Sebastian, Dragon versus Saber Junior. Gil says Dragon versus Saber Junior. Technical submission masterpiece. Oh yeah, that's a big one. That's one of them they're gonna throw at us, and that one's gonna be a really, really important one. Sebastian also says pretty pleased with a cherry on top, but we got people saying like Okada Omega again. Like that's one that makes sense. Omega versus White to tie it up. We've got Omega and Ibushi from Mark G saying Ibushi will be back by then. Golden Lover me. I mean, to me, Ibushi is the name that stops Omega dead in his tracks. Yeah. He's fixated on something, and then Ibushi walks out, and it's like he's seen a ghost.
Yeah,
because he has seen a ghost. That's one of them that I specifically think main events a big show at some point. Omega Ibushi, then Omega Okada. I think Danielson Saber Jr. is a really good supporting match along the way, but Bryan Danielson against the whole fucking lot of them is main event worthy, because he hasn't faced most of those people.
That's the other thing. Like I'd love to see Omega versus Okada again, but I'd love to see Danielson versus Okada for the first time.
Punk versus Okada, as Corey's mentioning.
Yeah.
And he's saying you never know. Oh, buddy, we know. It's going to happen. It will happen in the future now. Yeah. Like, because for all the, these people can go here, these people can go there. Punk didn't wrestle in New Japan. Omega hadn't been wrestling in New Japan. The Bucks haven't been. Bryan Danielson hasn't been. A lot of these big names have not been. And that's the thing. Now we get the cross-pollination of these big names. Darby versus Hiromu from Hey, What's That Over There? See, that's the type of stuff I'm interested in hearing. Some of the undercard stuff that you guys want to see. Like Sawyer saying Cassidy versus Naito in a Tranquilo match. That would be cool. Miro versus Jonah, Brendan says. Now, I know Miro wanted to work New Japan. And by the time, or when he was able to, they're like, sorry, bud. We're not bringing anybody over.
Yeah.
Sawyer says Cassidy versus Toru Yano. Oh, I want to see them team. They're in chaos. They're in chaos together. So why not? Nerd Guru says Jeff Cobb and Keith Lee. Oh my God, just them shoulder blocking each other for 5 minutes, please.
Yeah.
Miro and Tanahashi. Okay, that's one I want to see. Miro working the back of Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah. We got tons of dream matches. Kyle Collins also mentions Yano and Cassidy. We will go back to them. We'll ask Luis to organize those as best as possible to try to sort those together. But Sawyer says Moxley recruits Shooter Umino into BCC at Forbidden Door. This is what I want to see. The guy that Moxley used to just tote around.
Yeah.
And Moxley told me personally, he's like, man, I'm hoping in 15 years that guy can carry me to a payday. He's like, that's what I want out of him. That's the thing. Like Moxley's like, yeah, I know you mentioned all these people, but I got a guy. Right. I got a guy as well. I have to see that. Nerd Guru says AEW New Japan kind of leaves the women out, huh? Nope. Not if they bring Stardom over. Give me Thunder Rosa versus Shuri. I want that.
Mm-hmm.
Throw Shuri in there with Marina Shafir randomly, and I bet you're going to see that potential that I spoke about from Marina. E-Rob says, running late to the show, I'd want Diamante to pull Hogan away from the baddies and have a short 2 versus 2 feud. Diamante and Hogan, the couple against Cargill and Velvet. That would make sense down the line as well. Diamante is still, I don't think she's still fully signed yet, which is wild. Wild.
It really is.
Wardlow shows up, and Mark Sterling has AEW security there. I've been enjoying a lot of this. Mark Sterling is a really good get under your skin piece of shit heel, Alex.
Oh, he's great at it. I love him also mouthing shit to the camera, quoting MJF, but mouthing the word shit to the camera. And then like, so yes, these men will be escorting you to your locker room, your closet, and then to the ring, and then from the ring outside. If you want to bring your bag down to the ring, that's also fine. There's a very loyally to him, but I also just love also you're gonna be handcuffed the whole time. This is and we'll talk more about this, but just the idea of Wardlow biding his time, because one of these days he's gonna get to murder MJF, and that day will come. And there's no rush.
Yes, it will.
We'll figure it out. We'll get there when we get there.
I love it. And then after, they have the match, MJF is there. It didn't happen how we thought it would play out with the Blade being included, which bummed me out a little bit.
Yeah.
But Butcher looked so good in his squash match last week, too.
He did.
And he got his ass whipped tonight, which has to happen. He's got to get his ass whipped.
But I love MJF and Sean Spears up in the box at the top of the arena where Wardlow can't get to them and they know it. So Spears is up there just dropping popcorn on people. It's so good.
I love that. It's going to be the same this week. Lance Archer's coming back. He's getting a match on TV against Serpentico. Yeah. I can't wait. It would have been better if it was Fuego.
That might be the shortest match in Rampage history.
Yeah. And then they're going to, Wardlow is going to face Lance Archer next week.
Yeah.
We see MJF paying Jake the Snake Roberts. Eloquent says the whole Wardlow build has been perfection.
Really,
I've really enjoyed it. Yeah. Graham says that Jake Roberts looked like a fountain. M. Gordon says Shingo's been marking out for Wardlow destroying security jobbers on Dynamite's Japanese commentary. So I would love to see Shingo physically excited at ringside, him eating popcorn.
Yes.
For Wardlow destroying security guards at Forbidden Door or something like that. Or them teaming would be cool. And he gets in on it with them.
Yes.
Mr. Black Soul says, happy to see Wardlow go from Haas to Haas en route to MJF. The trials in each feud still have work in building MJF's heat, in my opinion. I think MJF's got plenty of heat for this one. This one's been building for years and years. But, yeah. Ricardo wants to see Samoa Joe and Shingo. Boy, don't we all. Don't we all. That would be great. Some sirloin beef, sons of bitches right there, even though Shingo isn't necessarily the size. New Japan has a lot of sirloin beef, sons of bitches.
Yeah.
And you know what? Listen, maybe you want to be stout like that. Maybe you want that nutrition.
Yeah.
You want to take care of yourself. You want to get into that division yourself. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? Our friends at athleticgreens.com/Fightful are going to get you there. athleticgreens.com/Fightful. A great way to get your multivitamin. You want to drink your multivitamin. You don't want to take a tablet. That'll pass right through you. And one scoop of AG1 contains 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, including a multivitamin, multimineral, probiotic, green superfood blend, and more in a convenient daily serving. Not only that, they have changed their formula over 53 times in the last 10 years to make sure it's as good as possible. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it's got less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, nothing artificial. I feel great taking this every single day. I take my travel packs with me whenever I'm on the road. And right now, when you use our link at athleticgreens.com/Fightful, get 1 year supply of vitamin D plus 5 free travel packs. I promise you're going to feel better. That's an SRS guarantee. You're going to feel better. The dairy-free probiotics, the adaptogens and antioxidants, the superfood complex. I've had a lot more natural energy. It's helped with digestion. It's helped with a whole lot of stuff. athleticgreens.com/Fightful. Truly love athleticgreens.com/Fightful. Eloquent says, hope Stardom is involved. Can't forget the ladies. Me too.
Yeah, gotta have Stardom involved. Yeah.
Toddy Strong says, I would love to say a women's match, but the only women on that show will be in the crowd. Don't speak so fast, buddy. Evan says, imagine how loud Chicago would get for a Golden Lovers reunion. Well, I don't know if any of them will be physically available at that point. I'm a little behind on New Japan, but Brian Mahoney says, any idea what Finn Balor's contract status is? The fact that he's co-founder and first leader of Bullet Club, his stock source for AEW New Japan. No, I don't know. Listen, guys, I'll help you save your super chats and your Q&A questions. If your question is, Do you know the contract status of? And I don't have it listed. I don't have the answer yet. That's not the type of stuff I hold on to. I'm not hoarding Moxley and Finn Balor contract news. I would try to get that $5 out of you guys immediately if I had that. Mark says Balor needs to punch Vince or something to get out of his contract. And Nerd Guru says, any chance he can get out of his deal by June 26th? Now I'm sad. He's the missing part in all this. No, there is almost no way he can get out of his contract by then. They'd apply a 90-day. Chris said, missed the February show due to the weather. Hopefully I can snag tickets before they sell out. And then we've got BJ saying a New Japan AEW Super Show, Cole versus Ishii. Don't need Blue Chew anymore. Hey, listen, you just want that performance with Blue Chew. But Sova brings up a good point. Curious if All Out is still going to be in Chicago with this show being in Chicago. They get all the love. I personally think they should adjust it. They should move it. I don't think they should lean so heavy into it. Now, granted, they went from United Center back to Chicago in a much shorter gap last year.
That was very special circumstances for the Punk return.
This is special circumstances
well,
too.
I mean, yeah, but it's like two major shows back to back.
Yes,
because their next pay-per-view is All Out after this thing. So I think
I'd go to St. Louis. I'd go to St. Louis where you didn't do Full Gear. Well, wait. I would have went to St. Louis before this Missouri Athletic Commission bullshit came through. So now maybe they won't go to St. Louis, but I would do something besides Chicago. I really would.
Yeah, I mean, there's areas of the country that haven't gotten one of these things. I don't know if they can run something like Portland or Seattle, but there's a huge contingent of wrestling fans up there that never get big shows.
Yeah, I agree. Way better cities than Buffalo, that's for sure. James Barr says, come on, SRS. Jay White, Villanova basketball coach, retired after 21 seasons at the helm. I understand you still get your news by telegram at Kentucky, but come on, man. Villanova sounds like a crappy flavor of a milkshake that I would never order. Listen, NCAA basketball hasn't mattered for 10 years. I'll go as far as to say that. Don't pay attention, don't care. Doesn't bother me any. Congratulations, Switchblade Jay Wright, on your retirement. Avon Smartdale says, because Alex is awesome at yes-anding the sponsor segments. There we go. More dream matches. House of Black, House of Torture. And Mark says, please leave House of Torture home. James says, any insight when Coda is coming to the U.S. or AEW? Well, I'd imagine June if he's healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about the extent of that. I think probably then. Bay versus Strickland says, hey, what's that over there? I could see that. I could see them teaming as well. I could see a lot of stuff for Chris Bay in the near future. Brett Lockman also mentioned Yano and Cassidy. We'll get back to more dream matches shortly. Eddie Kingston promo. We got the Brandon Cam with Undisputed Era, Bucks, Kyle O'Reilly. So Chris Raines says Kyle's transitions are so seamless. It's beautiful. Well, I know he wasn't talking about the promo. It had to be the match, which was fine.
Right.
The promo before was kind of wooden to me.
I've grown to really enjoy Kyle's promo style. It's very earnest. It's not necessarily great, but I enjoy it. I love the way he's like, hey guys, what Bucks, where are the rompers? Where's your trademark, do Kyle, Adam, why the long face? We're gonna be all right. Like, it's just this thing that he does. It's not for everybody. I've grown to enjoy it. I'm not telling you have to, but I appreciated everybody being really sad that they all lost matches and acknowledging the fact that they all lost big matches. The Young Bucks lost to FPR. Adam lost to Hangman. Red Dragon lost to the Jungle Cruisers. Like, I thought that was good to acknowledge that, to not try and like sell it that it didn't matter. Like, it does matter. Wins and losses matter here, and they're going to get back on the horse by teaming together, the five of them. There's no group of five guys that could beat this group of five guys, they say. So we'll see.
The match I enjoyed it. We see Jungle Boy afterwards having some words with Christian, though. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
I need to see more edge out of Jungle Boy. Do you think the right person won this match? And the match, of course, was outstanding.
Great.
It was wonderful. Kyle O'Reilly winning. I like that too.
Yes.
I love the flying knee. I just love the flying knee as a finish as well. But I do think the right person won, and I'm very, very interested to see what's next with Christian and Jungle Boy.
I'm interested in that too. The thing I'm most interested in is not having one half of the current tag champs taken up by a singles tournament, because I want those belts to be important and being defended, and I want to have an actual feud for those belts while other things are happening elsewhere. And if Jungle Boy is taken up by the tournament, that can't happen. But I also love that Kyle O'Reilly is a really good singles wrestler. We've seen him have really great matches toward the end of his run in NXT. He had some great matches in Japan, ROH. He's a great singles wrestler, and he's got a lot more experience than Jungle Boy has, even in the fact that nobody's wrestled more matches in AEW than he has, but Kyle's wrestled a lot more matches over his career. So I like that he was able to win clean, basically. I went back and watched the end of the match, so I didn't miss anything. He won clean. So, good. Kyle O'Reilly should be able to win matches occasionally, and this is good. I also can't wait to see how the brackets shake out, because Kyle O'Reilly could be a lot of fun as a spoiler in that tournament.
James Boris says, Sean, Kentucky is a state best known for being a pit stop to the real Midwest of Florida. Don't even mention Florida and Kentucky in the same sentence. We know how to at least cast ballots in our state and don't hold up entire elections. Chris says we should welcome an AEW pay-per-view in Indianapolis, or we would. I would love that. I mean, that's within driving distance for me. I would absolutely love it.
It's the same basic region too, but it also brings people Chicago's too far, but Indianapolis isn't too far for them to drive. I think that's good.
I would love that. Whew. I aspire to have the cardio of Excalibur during a promo read. He reeled off a bunch of matches, but the one that matters.
He went so fast he had to go back and do it and give the proper weight to this one you're about to bring up, because I missed it the first time he read it.
Dax and Cash, Owen qualifier. Now, I've heard some people say, oh, well, I wish this could have happened later in the tournament. I like the MMA method, the new MMA method, where they're like, no, we'll do this. Like, that's Tony Khan in his brain saying, how can I get them to wrestle and be okay with it? This is how. And they look at each other and go, yeah, sure, of course we will. Why wouldn't we? For Owen, anything.
Absolutely. And I don't know how big the bracket is. Correct me if I'm wrong, they've never said, is it 16? But I love the idea of only one guy in the tag team gets in this. So you guys figure it out who it is, and that guy gets into this tag match. And I love that they're doing it for Owen. But yeah, that match is going to be amazing. They're going to want to completely show out in that match next week. That should be fantastic.
Why are people asking if I'm Democrat or Republican? Guys, fucking Florida screwed up an entire election in 2000 because they did not know how to vote.
That's true.
Get a clue. Cash and Dax. So news emerged this week. We'd reported WWE still had a little bit of interest in them. They were under the impression that they had an option year. AEW said, no. We got you all for over a year. Mm-hmm. They were quick to correct that, especially with as white hot as FTR are right now. But also, within everything that we know about how much they adore Bret Hart, of course they would be willing to wrestle each other in this. It makes sense.
Yeah.
We've got more dream matches. Shot Kid says Lee, Jonah, Ishii, and Miro for Forbidden Door. You can only pick two. What's your match? Miro and Ishii, because Miro can work he's so much bigger. Matt says Flight and Hotel booked. Okada, Punk, Ospreay, Mox. Let's go. I mean, my God, there's so many people that Ospreay can face.
Yeah.
Oh my God. House of Black versus United Empire. El Phantasmo and Ishimori versus Top Flight. See, there are so many of these that can be added to like the undercard of this. That
the show's gonna be 5 hours long. It's gonna be so great.
Oh, here's a term I had forgotten about from the Florida election. Hanging Chads. That's going to be Chad Gable's future name.
Yeah, Hanging Chad.
In the future, whenever Gable Stevenson's there and Gable takes the Gable name, he'll become Hanging Chad instead. I'm excited for it. Chris Rain says, Punk did give Okada the address to the United Center a while back. Yes, he did. Brian Mahoney says, Punk, Okada, Brian, Saber. So sure it's happening. See, this is AEW and New Japan Survivor Series concept. Yes, I would love to see Survivor Series matches between these two.
That'd be nice.
And make it mean something, like everybody on one of the teams that survives gets a title shot or something.
Sure.
Like, do something, make it matter. Techers versus FTR, says Brent Lockman.
Yeah.
Hook versus Shooter at Forbidden Door, says Robert. Takahashi, Darby Allin, MJF versus Tanahashi. That's another thing. You never think about who MJF would face at stuff like this. Amazing. I mean, listen, I'm a dork for Hiroki Goto. I like him. I like his work. I'm excited to see him face some people. Max Power says Phoenix versus Hiromu. That's one. That's one. Or Phoenix and Penta against a couple fellas from there. Penta Shingo, LIJ House of Black. Again, we're going to get back to more of that momentarily. Brent Lockman says, was that Excalibur or the Micro Machine Man? That's good. That's true. Good. Ricardo, give FTR the AEW and New Japan tag titles. Do it. I would be shocked if by the end of their contract, they hadn't held the New Japan titles and maybe even the Impact titles.
Yeah.
Ricardo says that match is going to hump. Oh, yes, it will. Daniel says, Sean couldn't watch the early show live, so I have a question. Would WWE ever bring FTR for a few matches like Jeff Cobb and AEW, or would it only be for exclusive contracts? Right now, they would only be exclusive contracts. They wouldn't bring them in for that. I'd be shocked. Josh Weaver says there was a split second. I thought Wardlow was going to have to kill Jake the Snake. Oh, that'd be bad. Bad. Andy Slamberg says, is terrible a promo style? Because that's Kyle's promo style.
Oh, come now.
Garwalk says, I spent, well, actually, we had a couple of super chats that Luis did away with that did not need to be done away with. Luis, please return those. The one about Gresham, by the way. But we've got Garwalk saying, spent 30 minutes with my jaw dropped because I fully believed MJF hired Jake Roberts to assassinate Wardlow via some type of mysterious snake bite related injury. When Lance Archer appeared, I felt so dumb. Happy 420. That would be kind of cool if Jake Roberts was just like, he's chasing him with a snake, and he's like, I thought you meant the snake. What the hell? Hook beats Anthony Henry's ass. This was solid. Hook's first Dynamite match.
Yeah.
Holy shit, Danhausen's over.
Yeah,
My
he is.
God.
He really is.
So I would love for them to say he accidentally cursed Anthony Henry, but he's been trying to get Hook's attention. And he does. And he says he's sick of it. Like we see layers of Danhausen.
Yes.
He's like, what the hell? He's like, you've been ignoring Danhausen, and now you're going to have to fight Danhausen, and the crowd erupts for it, Alex.
They're so into it. They're so damn into it.
And Danhausen realizes at that point, he has cursed himself.
Yeah, I've made a terrible mistake. Danhausen has made a terrible mistake. Yeah. I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to work. It's interesting that they're like, well, no, we want to make sure that that we're not too self-serious with this whole Hook thing. Let's have the kid like sell some comedy and see how it works. I think it'll actually help with his overall image. I know there are a lot of people who hate this for him, but I think it could be a lot of fun.
I love it. I think it could be. I mean, this is the entertainment aspect, and I'm ready for it. I want it, and I don't know how it'll work out. As long as Danhausen can't like legitimately curse somebody, good. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah. He legitimately cursed William Regal that one time.
At post-show stuff,
yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Mark says, Hook versus Danhausen, what is life? It's good. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yoxel says, hey, Tony, let Danhausen talk more. You owe him 3 blimps at this point. He's just so freaking over. He's so over, and so many people have never seen a match of his.
Yeah.
Danhausen versus Yano. I want to see like a super, I want to see Danhausen and Suzuki.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. Because Suzuki will rock with it. He will do it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Kazarian Scorpio Sky promo. I love this. Scorpio Sky, we have never seen a reason why he and Kazarian aren't hanging out with each other. And Scorpio Sky was like, I know we went our separate ways, but I asked you to save my career, and now I'm asking you for another favor. I know you want the title, but I want it, and I can promise you that you will get the first shot, and you won't have to jump through hoops if you let me have it. And Kazarian said, you got it, buddy. I like this. Kazarian's a babyface. Mm-hmm. Scorpio Sky has been a heel, but there is no reason that they are not friends. Yeah. So why not do this, Alex? I thought this was great.
I like it too. It furthers this story of where we're going with Sky, because there was not a lot of like, you owe me this or anything like that. There was like, we've been friends for a long time, and I respect you, all that kind of stuff. So that's leaning towards where I hope we're going with Sky. But I'm a fan of this. I thought this was really good to establish further things with Sky.
Well, then we got the promo.
We did indeed.
I'm so interested to see how you feel about this. Sammy and Ty Conti are out there. They are heels. They are absolutely heels.
Look at the wardrobe they put Sammy in.
Yes.
He's a heel.
But I like that they are not aware that they are heels. I really like that. And he's like, my girlfriend's hotter than your girlfriend. That's why you hate me. That's the only reason you could possibly hate me. I am a great person. Otherwise, I know I talk about blowing loads on title belts and messing up people's cars, and I hit people in the balls and all this stuff. And then Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page come out. And if you did not watch Ethan Page's promo after,
and Sky's too,
and Sky's,
both of them together.
And I mean, listen, Dan Lambert, you can say what you want about the subject matter. His delivery is usually really good, and he had the 3rd best delivery of that promo. And that was great. And Ethan Page is fired up. And the double turn they have made work here. They got the crowd to cheer for Dan Lambert, and they're booing Sammy. Ethan Page is livid. Scorpio Sky wants his title back. Sammy and Ty are white hot as as heels. It's effective. What they did was effective. How do you feel about how they got there, Alex?
Number one, if you have not seen the promo that Sky and Ethan Page cut after the Battle of the Belts thing they put online, you owe it to yourself to do it. Page was out of this world great in that promo, and Sky was also excellent. And that's about the minute 38 point of that little thing. It lasted almost 3 minutes. Minute 38, you could just shut it off, because after that, nothing is of note is said. The first minute 38 proves these two guys don't need anybody else speaking for them. There's literally no reason anybody else has to grab a microphone on their behalf ever for the rest of their careers. And so this segment, they come out and they're still doing some really great promo work themselves.
Not to interrupt, but you could say the same thing about Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley.
Sure.
You could say the same thing about a lot of people that Bobby the Brain Heenan managed. That being said, I mean, I'll say that what they did has worked, but it was like, hey, my car got towed. Well, that sucks. How'd you get it out? I ran it through the fucking gate of the impound lot, but it worked.
Yeah.
I got my car back.
Yeah.
And this worked. This absolutely worked.
Yeah, it worked up until a point for me. What the point was where Dan Lambert is still doing more of his you are a woman who is in some way tangentially related to the guy I don't like, therefore you're a whore. In this particular case, because we don't like Sammy and Tay, we're forced to agree with him when he starts doing all of his like all women are whores stuff.
Where I come from, you get bitches is not an insult. That's a wonderful thing that she has people interested in her. Like, no, the opposite. I don't know. I watched a guy get dunked on for being bitchless all night last night, and it was hilarious. So I don't like that. I don't care. If you say, oh my God, you bang so many dudes. Well, good for you. Good for you if that's what you want to do.
We're going to come down to the ring, Sammy, and give you the kind of pounding your girlfriend could only dream about, and everybody cheers is not my idea of a good time. That's all I'll say.
Yes. Yes. Guys, leave the political bullshit out of our chat. Thank you. What do we got? Where are the super chats on this? We got so many. Bako 5 says Sammy and Ty being the heels are the right move. Yeah. No, and James says, I'd love to see heel versus heel, Miro versus Sammy, where Miro tells him how a real man does it. Miro ain't the heel there, buddy.
No. If Miro came out and beat Sammy to get his title back, like he'd be over as a babyface immediately. I honestly, here's a hot take. I think the booking of the TNT title since they took it off Miro has been basically shit. There's been some really good matches, but they really haven't had a real direction with the title since then. Like Sammy had it for a while, had some good matches, but it really wasn't going anywhere. He lost it to Cody. He got it back from Cody. Like Scorpio got it, but only for like 3 weeks, and now it's back on Sammy. Like there doesn't seem to be a real story here, and the reigns haven't felt important to me.
Also, yeah. Chris Reigns loved the interaction between Scorp and Frankie. Yeah. Joey Bag of Donut says, how bad do you have to suck to turn Dan Lambert face? My God. I think it was effective. It was, yeah. Brendan says, for the first time ever, I enjoyed the Sammy ATT stuff. Ethan Page brought the fire. Man, he always brings the fire. Andy Slamberg says, thank God Sammy and Ty are leaning into the reactions. Another AEW power couple didn't, and they aren't there anymore. Well, I mean, let's be real. If they wanted to be there, they'd still be there, and they'd be in a prominent role. Nerd Guru says that the feud is dead in the water. Can we skip to the part where Swerve or Keith is running the TNT title division? Hate all of it. Sammy is so unbearable that Lambert's a babyface now. Listen, man, you can say a lot of things about that feud. You cannot say that it's dead in the water. Not after those reactions tonight. Like, yeah. Brendan says Alex is 100% right about the TNT title since Miro, Dan Lambert too. Yeah, the title's a lot stickier now as well.
Yeah.
We've learned that.
Mm-hmm.
Sawyer says Hook can't give too much, but they need to show that Danhausen can go in his debut match. Curious how AEW threads that needle. Well, it depends on how they look to portray Danhausen. Yeah. House of Black promo. Bako 5 says they've lost steam. Hope Fuego soon. Feud is done soon. I haven't even considered them for weeks. Haven't thought about them for weeks before this. Hey, what's that over there? Says booking idea. Malachi hits Ibushi with the Black Mist, and Ibushi joins the House of Black. I do want to see somebody from New Japan join, but I have completely forgotten about these guys.
Yeah, I think they've been on the back burner. They've gotten some of their little vignettes, maybe once every 2 weeks or so, to like keep them on the back burner. But I think it's time, like once they effectively murder Fuego, then it's time for them to move on. I was really excited about the potential of all of the Dark Order versus House of Black. You pick your 3. You know what? You pick your 5 best guys against us 3, and we'll wrestle that match. Let's do it. Like I love the idea of like, you guys say you're the Dark Order, meanwhile we're literal Satanists. Let's have an actual match. I think that could be fun.
Eloquent says, I don't mind AEW playing hot potato with the TNT title. All their titles have had mostly long reigns. Don't mind it for now. I don't either. I'm okay with it. One of my favorite things to cover at Fightful was the Charlotte-Sasha feud where the belt switched back and forth every few weeks. I thought that was a blast. Somebody says, Rep, damn, everybody knows SRS is in the Whig party. My God. Thank you for the super chat. If you send a question, Luis will pick that up. James Boris says, of all the heels, who deserves to be powerbombed in the center of the earth by Wardlow the most? Lambert.
I mean, it's MJF specifically.
Sure,
but
yeah.
Other than that, yeah, Lambert.
Jambeard says, Lambert isn't a bad promo in his style, and for about 75% of the stuff he says is good. It's the fact that the other 25% is sexist garbage that lowers the quality of the promos we get from Ego and Sky. That's the thing. When you leave talking about that one thing, you're like, wish he wouldn't have said that. And if he just wouldn't have said that, a lot of people, like, would the promo have been any worse? Nope, probably would have been better. Michael says, wonder what the chances are that the head baddie in charge, Mia Yim, pops up against Jade and her baddies. I think it's becoming more and more possible. I didn't think it was going to happen a few months ago, but I think it's more and more possible now. More dream matches. Jorge Sandoval says, hear me out. Miro Ibushi, MJF Ospreay, Tanahashi Hook, Filthy Tom, Buddy Matthews, and SRS versus Hollywood Salcedo. Very clever. Shot Kid says, I want to see Donna Del Mondo versus Britt and Jamie, Kairi versus Ruby, Thunder Rosa versus Utami, if Stardom is involved as well. I mean, that's the big question. Will they bring Stardom over? I would imagine yes. Nerd Guru says, Time Splitters and FTR. Oh, that's definitely one. FTR and GOD. I would just like to see that. I would like to see what they get out of them. I think that could be a lot of fun. Serena and Shida are set for next week. Brendan says, looking forward to that. Given that Deeb isn't in the Owen as of yet, seems like she'll win and challenge Rosa at Double or Nothing, which would be awesome. Yeah, because other than that, I'm just like, why else wouldn't she be in this tournament and doing it? F-Kit says, MJF says terrible things and it's okay, but Lambert says anything and it's automatically bad. Not shocked by the hypocrisy. Buddy, it's the same terrible thing every fucking week. Every week, it's LOL, this woman fucks. Mm-hmm. Every single week, it's the same shit.
And every time that MJF does come out and be like, hey, Texas, your daughter swallows, I come on here and say, that's a stupid joke. I wish he wouldn't have said it. The promo would have been better without it. Every single time. But guess what? Every single time he does a promo, he doesn't always include shit like that. When he does, I call it out.
Come on. Get real, buddy. I promise you, if you're going to say stupid shit like this here, at least know the track record. At least know the material that you're talking about. Come on. Come on. If Dan Lambert cut a promo that didn't do this, I'm sure it'd probably be really good. And you know how I know that? Because I watched his promos in MLW and Impact, and they were really good. No. Hit the bricks, Junior. We've got James Barr says, what's the holdup on Athena? Is she concerned about moving to AEW? I think if AEW came calling, she would sign. I think she would sign. Cornman says MJF definitely takes it too far sometimes. Yes, he does. And he's had some bad promos too.
Yep.
Do better. Do better. Well, Dr. Britt Baker is a gigantic babyface now because I interviewed her and I made her sympathetic. I am her Barbara Walters. She had a good conversation with me dressed in Bengals gear. Check out that interview, please. Chris says, dang, that's an ovation for Britt. No orange today. So we get this amazing ovation. And Britt comes out with members of the Pittsburgh Steelers. She got shouted out by the Steelers this week. Knowing her on a personal level, first off, fuck the Steelers. Go to hell, Steelers. But that is very cool. That's what you want. You want to take your star wrestler to their hometown and make them look like people there give a shit about them.
Yep.
And how do you do that? You make them look strong there. You celebrate it. You've got Wardlow on this show. You've got Lee Moriarty on this show, and Lee didn't win, but he had a good showing. And you got Dr. Britt Baker DMD. I'll say this about the match. Danielle Camella looked like a person who had had a few matches over the course of 3 years, and a commercial break took it up. But the purpose of this was to get a pop for Britt, get the Steelers out there, get Britt to win, and then do the post-match. I loved one of the Steelers handing her a receiver's glove and her doing the lockjaw. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, this is good to remind us of why, and this is obviously a biased crowd. It's her hometown, but it's to remind us of what got Britt over in the first place. I think a lot of people were just done with her reign by the time she lost to Rosa, but she's really good at this, and so like that was nice to be able to see in a short time. She gets to do her little like tee-hee, I'm mentioning stuff that happened at the other company, stuff where she talked about Tony Storm. That to me is a future feud in the making that could be a lot of fun. Britt Baker versus Tony Storm could be a lot of fun as well. This was all very good. Britt, I do love the AEW audience when somebody's in their hometown, no matter how much of a shithead they are. The hometown audience always goes crazy for them. They're going back to Long Island on May 11th. I can't wait for whatever the hell they pull off for MJF on that night.
Jambeard says, also, Alex, you might have to correct SRS to how to say my name. He doesn't say it like you.
The bad one, Jambeard.
Oh.
2 consonants become breaker.
I just abbreviate because it's a lot easier that way. E-Rob says, I guess Britt's match is going to be 3 minutes. Men's stuff great as always. Makes it even more annoying. I mean, it was for the moment. I really didn't mind it in this situation. She should not be wrestling Danielle Camella for more than 3 or 4 minutes.
I'm waiting for this tournament to get going. We saw last fall, what WWE does with a singles women's tournament. They give all the matches 90 seconds, and that's it. Now, when the tournament starts, we're going to see actual top women facing each other with stakes on the line, and they should get 10 to 15 minutes every match and actually be able to show what they can do. I agree with you. Britt Baker shouldn't take longer than 3 minutes to beat Danielle Camella. However, that being the only women's match on the show doesn't look good.
Yes, I agree with that. Match itself, didn't quite like it, but this was to serve a moment, is what that was. Nerd Guru says, I know she's a heel, but having Britt run down the women's division, which already has problems, wasn't the way to go. A lackluster match and a reign that didn't help anything didn't hit right with me. I mean, if you can criticize it, she can too. I don't see anything wrong with that. If she says it sucks, she's being honest. So I don't have an issue with it. James Boris asking how many titles the Bengals have won. I don't give a shit what Villanova's won. I don't care. Thank you, Switchblade J. Wright. Graham says, I remember more about Chevrolets and chicken sandwiches than the Britt Baker match. Damn it, Tony, please try harder. I disagree. I think the receiver glove at the end was a fantastic touch for that crowd. It was a very entertainment thing to do. This was not supposed to be a 5-star classic. Brendan says, might be zagging a bit, but I wish Britt would put someone over a bit in her promos. I get it. Not a huge fan of just putting people down. I mean, perhaps, but I mean, if the criticism is that the booking is bad, then I kind of think she should echo that sentiment. Why not? She is the centerpiece of that division. Jambeard says, to me, it felt like this might be the seeds for a Jade Britt TBS title feud because of the whole Pittsburgh stuff. Now, that would be interesting. She spoke very highly of, hey, watch my interview if you want to hear her put people over, because she put over Jade Cargill. I asked her to say nice things about a whole bunch of people there. We did Shooting Softly, where she says nice things about a whole mess of people. Also, she put Jamie over, as somebody mentioned. But she said that Jade Cargill, for being put in the position she has been in, has just exceeded expectations. I think we could be heading there. What's that over there says, I like the House of Black kind of gets forgotten about because to me it makes them seem like they have impending doom that often gets overlooked till it's too late. Yet we just haven't seen that at full strength executed to the fullest of their abilities. Guys, get in your super chats, humper chats. We still have a bunch about New Japan and AEW, and I love it. You guys are white hot over this. La Lucha says, I remember a night when Denise, SRS, and the family were here speculating about Ingobernables in AEW. Way to manifest this. We're going to see a lot. Flo Pro says, only thing I wish is it was an outdoor event at Wrigley. It should happen sometime at some point, right? We don't know how Wrigley is even set, like, if it's a possibility. Maybe they've looked into that.
Wrigley Field might just be a hard no on that. You never know.
Yeah. And it might be like almost impossible to run wrestling TV out of there. There are a lot of venues that you might go, oh, well, let's do that. And you don't realize it's really, really tough.
Some of the newer, like domed baseball stadiums can do stuff like that much easier than something that opened in like 1903 or whatever.
Yeah. Freddie says, if and when AEW goes to the UK, they need the biggest stadiums and have Mox main event. I would love to hear the crowd sing Wild Thing like they're seeing Rick Vaughn in Major League. Well, they should go to Cleveland for that then. Let's just run whatever shitty. What stadium do the Browns play in? What's their shitty stadium?
I don't know.
What kind of crack house do they run out of there? You could fill that one up if you're trying to get the Rick Vaughn reaction. Modern Mouse says, rather than having a super long show, they can blow off some of these undercard dream matches that lead up to the show in the Owen tournament. Yeah, I think they could do that. I think this will be a 4 or 5 hour pay-per-view.
Yeah,
for sure. Sawyer says men's qualifiers get hot matches, but with the women, they have to wait till the tourney starts. And even then we say, I hope, don't need a tournament to book better. I completely agree. You don't need to wait for a tournament to do that.
No.
James Barris says, in all seriousness, why are we talking about basketball, James? This is like your 6th super chat. I appreciate the money. I do. But he's talking about Alex saying that Tibbs burns bridges wherever he goes. We got a 90-minute wrestling show here, James. I appreciate you. But I do remember a Bulls team that would run through a wall for him. But yes, he does because he runs his players ragged.
He does.
They signed Luol Deng to a huge contract, and they're like, shit, he's out of gas, isn't he?
He plays 46 minutes a game in January.
Rose, Noah, dang, he burned him out, man. It was like Kerry Wood with the Cubs, man. Like, they blew him out. James says it'd be cool if the pay-per-view was in Arthur Ashe Stadium. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they will in the future. I'm positive they will in the future. Andrade, Darby, 2. This was much shorter than I expected, or maybe it felt shorter than I expected.
Yeah.
But Sting's involvement in this, first off, Jeremy Lambert was there live. And he pulled the Sting mask off, face paint underneath their gag on me.
Yeah.
And he was right next to where it happened. He got to witness this in person. That made me happy. And then Sting diving off of shit. Listen.
Yeah.
This is the greatest way for a man to earn 6 figures at his age that I have ever seen.
So
I've got so much respect for him. The match itself, it was fine. It was okay. It didn't blow me out of the water. Jose, the gimmick being that Jose runs out and he always looks like a character from WCW Revenge in a battle royal. Yeah. And then he always finds an excuse to rip off his shirt because he's jacked, is hilarious to me.
Yep.
I find that very funny. But this match just, it wasn't it for me. I didn't, like when I see Darby all the way in the coffin and it's like Andrade is dragging to close the coffin, it wasn't for me. There were moments I liked, but the match itself, I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, the thumbtacks on the underside of the coffin lid was a nice touch. There was a moment there where it looked like Andrade was like trying to break the lid off the coffin, but I was like, hey, dude, don't you need that to win? Don't you have to put them in the coffin, then close the lid on top of them? If you break the lid off, isn't it going to be a lot harder to do that? But I don't know what he was doing. But here's the thing. I enjoyed the Sting bit where he was wearing the mask and pulled the mask off and did the thing. That was fun. Sting jumping off the concourse. That's great too. I don't know what we're waiting for with Andrade. I honestly don't know. I don't know why we've been waiting around for this. Like he loses big matches. Every time they put him in a big match like this, they book him to lose. He lost the Coffin match. He beat Darby a few weeks ago, but that wasn't a big match.
I did see a bunch of, is he much better off than WWE? Yeah, he's a lot better off than WWE.
Yes,
because he's booked. He's booked.
Yes, he's a lot better off than WWE, but still, he lost the Coffin match. He lost. He was on the losing side of the tornado tag at Revolution. He lost in the TNT title 3-way. He lost in a singles match versus Sammy Guevara for the TNT title. He lost that match to Cody Rhodes, where Cody Rhodes put him through a fiery table. Like, he loses these big matches. They book him to lose all the time, but I don't understand. He's gotten himself in amazing shape. He's one of the most undeniably cool guys in all of wrestling. He's one of the best they've got.
Has become a meme outside of wrestling.
Right, exactly. I think the whole thing with this is like, I said people saying like, well, he can't beat Darby Allin in a Coffin match.
Yeah, why couldn't he?
Well, he could. He's the heel. He could easily cheat to beat Darby at his own game and get more heat on himself. But the other deal is like Darby saying, all right, I challenge you, Andrade, to a match I never lose. Well, then it's a foregone conclusion. Why do we even have the match? I just feel like Andrade should have won the TNT title from Sammy Guevara pre-Revolution. He should have won it 6 weeks ago. I think the TNT title will be better off now and a strong reign with Andrade holding it than whatever they've got going back and forth here. I think he's a top tier guy and should be booked as such. That's my own personal opinion.
Chris says Sting did the thing. Yes, he did. Mike Provencher says Sting wearing a Sting mask is the greatest running gag in the history of wrestling. I love it. I love it. C says that TK needs another belt so he can put it on Andrade. Nope. They've got plenty of belts. They got 2 companies worth of belts. He can win one of those. Jackson says Andrade joining LIJ as a mystery partner against Best Friends. That's what I want to see. Slamberg says the last one for tonight is it feels like Andrade really needs a decisive feud win. Why do you think he's not there yet? I think they're taking him for granted a little bit. But he is on TV every week. And like you can't say anywhere near WWE booking because like he was just hanging out and catering when he was even brought there.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he got one? I do think that right now he's being taken for granted a little bit. Right. You never know when somebody did anybody expect Sky and Paige to go white hot? No. FTR got white hot like overnight. It wasn't overnight. It was a long build, but finally that thing happened that made everybody blow up. So you just never know what that might be.
Yeah.
Zach says death taxes me marking out for the old Sting under a Sting mask. Wrestling is the best. I will never get tired of it. Hornman says they need to go to Fenway Park so Jeff can do a swanton off the Green Monster. Please? Please?
What? Why are you rooting for that man to die? Oh,
I would love it. I would love it.
If he doesn't do it, Darby will.
Yeah.
He'll do a coffin drop off of that thing.
Shot Kid says, after this and ROH under the umbrella, crossing my fingers, he destroys AFO with the help of Dragon Lee and Roosh. Yeah, I think that LIJ being back together is what needs to happen. The Hardy Boys came out and did celebrate or acknowledged on the ramp, by the way, and that was the end of Dynamite. Bako 5 says the ending to Darby and Andrade was Brock Roman bad. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like anything involving the Coffin on this. Like Jose missed the tax, and Like the finish was kind of lame, and Andrade not closing it to begin with. It's like, why not?
Yeah.
Luis says he's 44 years old. Let the man Jeffrey chill. Nerd Guru, I didn't love the 50-50 booking of the main event either. Either push Andrade or don't. He did the same thing with Cody and lost the extreme match in the end. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Bako 5 says Britt was blown up and could use some AG1. I don't think so. Maybe the rush kind of got to her. Bill says Fightful presents the Sports Ball podcast. I almost said the Ball Sports podcast. And James, send him more basketball shit. So he hasn't had a 60-win Bulls team since he left. Also wrestling. Somebody's saying the Clippers are the control your narrative of basketball. I think just Kyrie Irving is. Oh, my God. But listen, if you want to watch Clippers games, but you're out of your region, maybe you're watching a wrestling show, and I geo-block people. I say, no, you can't send that kind of super chat, or else. Well, fortunately, we've got an answer for you. NordVPN.com/Fightful. The fastest VPN in the world is now yours. 70% off your plan, an additional month free, a 30-day money-back guarantee with the threat protection. How you know? Well, because I'm telling you, NordVPN.com/Fightful blocks malware, online trackers, and annoying pop-up ads. And it does it with the fastest VPN in the world. And again, you get your money back in 30 days if you don't like it. Avoid geo restrictions. Change your virtual location with just one click on all your devices. Phone, laptop, PC, desktop, router, all that good stuff. You can subscribe to services, including some that are going to be showing some pay-per-views overseas with NordVPN.com/Fightful. I know some of you will say, but Sean, some of them have VPN blockers. Let me tell you, there's ways to get around it. There's ways. And NordVPN.com/Fightful helps you. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Do the right thing. They have supported us incredibly. King Family Reacts says, seems Statlander is going a bit dark. Hope she doesn't get lost in the shuffle. She has potential. Me too, and I would like to say, well, that doesn't happen in AEW, but it does, especially with the women. There's a whole mess of people that get lost in the shuffle. James sends his last NBA super chat and says, what about Bulls games, Sean? You can watch those too. And I can tell you're running out of steam because you're only sending $2 super chats now. Not worth your investment to talk basketball with me? The Raptors are down 3-0. Pretty much the same record as the Cincinnati Reds at this point. Darian says, random question. Do you guys partake in the wacky tobacco seriously? Fightful's one of my favorite channels. Much love, fellas. I don't actively. I smoke marijuana to get to sleep whenever I broke my neck. And if it were legal here and I had easy access to it, yeah, it's probably how I'd still get to sleep at night, honestly.
I wackied enough tobacco to last a lifetime about 20 years ago, and I'm done. I'm done with that.
You're done whacking the tobacco?
I'm done whacking the tobacco.
It would be huge here in Kentucky, too. It would help out a lot of stuff if they would just legalize it.
Yep.
But not me, because I am a huge drug dealer, so I don't want them to do that.
Right, true.
We have a bunch of New Japan super chats to get through, so we're going a little.
Let's do it.
We're going a little long. Dream matches. Jambeard says Punk Kenta, Hangman Okada, Black Naito, Cobb Wardlow, Jonah Keith Lee, Brian Saber Jr., Ospreay Mox 2, God Red Dragon. So the one I want to see most out of that is Cobb and Wardlow, because I want to see them just bumping into each other. Hugh Janus says it's safe to assume that if Omega isn't back, Okada Punk will be the main event. Any word on if Stardom will be involved? Well, Peter Davies sent a super chat that said that it looked like they're running a show June 26th, so it doesn't look like it. But I mean, they could send one or two people over. I mean, that wouldn't keep them from doing that. I don't think anything's safe to assume.
I think if Punk, as I think, will be the AEW champion by that time, then I think he's in the main event. I think they figure out who's the biggest guy they could run against Punk.
Yeah.
And they run that main event.
Please leave a thumbs up, by the way, guys. Arsenal says, save the Punk heel turn in Chicago at United against Okada. I don't think Okada is the type of person they can get him to turn on. I think that he'll get that reaction. Gresham versus Zack Saber Jr. versus Bryan versus Sky. That sounds like a blast. That's one I hadn't thought of. Ooh, Hanging Chad says, a Rumble with AEW and New Japan stars. I want a New Japan Rambo with that. I fully do.
Yeah.
Just don't bring back like Izuka or anything and his dumbass iron fingers. MJF and Tom Lawler, boos that make the ring implode. Lawler could work well against MJF, I think.
Yeah.
Joe versus Ospreay or Cobb. I think Ospreay's a better matchup for him than Cobb. Yeah. Hey, what's that over there? Says Andrade, Rush, Dragon Lee, Naito, Sonata, Shingo. Bring them all together.
Yeah, all of them.
Well, that's a good 6-man because you're going to have to add some 6-man, 8-man tags.
Yeah.
I want ones that make a bunch of sense. Then I want some like WCW versus WWF invasion style ones. Brent Lockman mentions Ishii against Wardlow, Joe, and Miro. All Ishii wrestling. Ishii's got a busy weekend as well. I heard who he's facing at the tapings after Impact this weekend. And it's not a name that you would immediately go, oh my God, can't wait for that. But when I heard who it was, I go, oh, God damn, that's going to be good. Hey, what's that over there? Says Hope Gresham recruits Lee and Joe into the foundation so I can get BCC versus them. Yeah. That would be awful neat. They only land one or two of the recruits they were after. Maybe that. But I kind of feel like they should be like a sought out thing. Like they get who they go after.
Yeah.
Because I would kind of like the fact that they took issue with the fact that Daniel Garcia was like, no. I have a different goat. It's not you guys.
Yeah.
In Simmons just wants Andrade to win. You're with all of us, buddy. Daniel says that his brain feels overstimulated. Have so many ideas going through my head. So many match combos. One thing, while I get all the matches, dream matches, I hope AEW uses it to elevate young guys like Ospreay versus Dante. Would Gresham be on the show? I'm sure he could be on the show. He signed to AEW. Ospreay versus Dante, Alex. That's a brilliant one I haven't heard.
Yeah, that one's pretty excellent. Like that's the guy who was one of the pioneers of that style, which is the new guy who's coming up trying to emulate it. I think there's a really cool thing.
Miguel says, hey, fellas, just joined live. I'm not sure if it's been mentioned yet, but I'd love Danielson versus Saber Jr. It's been mentioned a couple times, my friend.
You know what? I have heard that.
I remember that from earlier.
I have heard that.
Naito, Cole, Okada, Hangman, and House of Black versus House of Torture. See, there are some that I want them to save, like some of the obvious slam dunk ones, like save that for the future, because this should be a regular thing.
Yes.
Yuta and Ren Narita is one that Brendan brings up. I like that one as well. Ken says, hope people are prepared for multi-man matches instead of singles. They'll do them eventually, but I doubt it'll be here. Buddy, they're doing the United Center for a huge announcement. If they do nothing but 8-mans, it's going to get shit on a lot.
Yeah.
I think you've got room for a high-level 10-man, a lower-level 10-man, then like LIJ versus I think you have room for 3 or 4 big tag matches like that.
Yeah.
I'm Mediocre says, too bad Muta's in Noah, but Muta Sting for the nostalgia. Oh, yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Dark Order versus LIJ and Andrade, says Adam. That's cool. That's the LIJ match, I think. TJ says, if this gets Tama on my screen, for the love of God, too sweet me. I'm very interested to see where the chips fall there. People just throwing shit out now.
Yeah.
Hikuleo versus Gresham?
Just do it. Just do it.
Just do them all. Distry says, here's the triple threat killer, Gresham, Danielson, Zack Saber Jr. Now, that one I think would be good because the pace would be a lot faster than a lot of people would expect.
Yeah.
Danielson and Shooter. Moxley initiated that into BCC. Danielson should be the guy to test his protege.
Yeah.
That is a really good approach, too. I think that'll happen on a Dynamite, though.
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to get past these dream matches, but y'all just keep sending them in. I love it. Danielson versus Shibata or Punk versus Shibata. I think Shibata's matches are pretty much going to be like exhibition style. I think that's pretty well the way it's going to go. Could this be the show they do Naito versus Mox? It's been teased for quite a while now. Ask Jambeard. I think one of these shows could be.
Yeah.
Wazim says, Sean, are you doing Quizzle Mania anytime soon? Wazim, I'm sorry that your chats weren't necessarily going through or we weren't picking them up, but I promise you if they saw them, they would get them. I am not scheduled to do Quizzlemania anytime soon. I am a Quizzlemania tag team champion still, so I assume at some point I will be brought back to do that because they desperately need me on their shows. Like I think it's pretty evident that Wrestle Talk is in a bad way. It's sad. It is sad. They're down bad right now. They got to resort to doing impersonations of me on their show, and they're down bad. But you know what? If that's what they got to do for clicks, good for them.
Yep.
Jambeard says, you son of a bitch. The Bulls haven't been a good team since the early 2000s. Well, that's not true. They were good at the turn of the decade as well.
Yep.
Peyton says, if he's healthy, at least, I'd love. We read that one. N. Simmons says, wish Ricochet was in AEW so we can get another Osprey match. Also need Bucks and God. Well, that's the thing. I think that Dante takes the place of Ricochet, sort of in that exhibition type of thing as well.
Another guy we might be able to see involved in this by that point on either side is Kushida.
I want to see Kushida and Kyle O'Reilly again. I want to see the Time Splitters against Red Dragon. That's what I want to see.
Let's friggin' go.
Ghetto versus Regal. Go home. Go home. Well, we're about to go home. We got about 10 more of these to read. Send in your super chats if you want to get them in, but please leave a thumbs up on this video.
Yeah.
My God. Hey, what's that over there? Says, I would love Arthur Ashe at 20 minutes from my house. I'd love Rupp Arena because it's 10 minutes from mine. Ain't happening. And everybody knows Rupp Arena is a much bigger wrestling venue than Arthur Ashe, obviously. Team Kalex for Quizzlemania. I don't see why they couldn't end up doing that. I don't book the talent, though. Sunny B says, can't wait for this show. AEW New Japan. I hope they make a whole weekend out of it. Overall, the other promotions like a Mania Night weekend. Thanks, Fightful, for the content. Well, Sunny B, thank you for the generous super chat. It would be hard for me to believe, Alex, that they wouldn't do a Rampage that was full of stuff too, right?
Yes. Yeah, no, that seems to be the way to go.
Yeah, you do that. You could do like the Now Arena or something for that. You can kind of split it up. Again, Sunny, thank you so much. All Elite Dan says shows like tonight's are one of the reasons I'll never mind Tony's big announcement. Has a great track record, and if a promoter wants me to be hyped for something, I'm all for it. I can tell you guys, much to that point, Dan, we're here. We're an hour 40 in on a 2-man show for a 2-hour wrestling. Like my shows don't go that long. They just don't. But we hang around because the audience participation is there.
Yeah.
So people being like, oh, well, it's just something that caters to their audience. Good. They should do. That's what wrestling companies should do. They should cater to their audience a lot.
Like the idea of like that you're only making the people who like you love you is a weird thing to be upset about because like I know if I was like, no, you have to watch this and you could get somebody to come in and somebody who loves this product enough is going to want other people to also watch it with them. That's how you grow your audience.
I'm Mediocre says, do you think we'll get a lot of build-up matches on the way to this pay-per-view, like more New Japans on Dynamite and Rampage? Yeah, I think we'll see more crossover on Strong and AEW. Hanging Chads as Liger and Sting. Liger's retired.
Yeah.
Jambeard says Sting and Suzuki. That could be fun. That could be an interesting one. Rob Wilkins says Dynamite and Rampage is scheduled for Milwaukee on the 22nd. Well, they could very easily add a Rampage.
They could
there, but I mean that might be one you want to go to, Alex.
Well, I mean, I'll be out of the area by then, but I might have to.
You're right.
Back. Yeah.
So you might have to go to the actual Pape.
I might actually have to go to the actual Pape.
My God. Josh says, send Linda for Quizlemania. SGS for life. We get super chats about SGS during listing your boy now. It's wild.
Fantastic.
Michael Keys says, no comment for the show. Just love Sean. Shit, at least somebody does. Thank you. I appreciate you. But then somebody says, Sean lovers anger me. E. Swifty says, what do you think of the chances some talent being exchanged for Battle of the Super Juniors and Owen tournament to build Forbidden Door, hoping Ishii wins on Rampage? That could be interesting if Ishii wins and it furthers the point of they aren't winning by themselves. But then again, Kyle just won by himself, so maybe not.
Yeah.
I like that. I know that there are some new there's some new Japan names popping up that aren't AEW related for Best of the Super Juniors that I think you all would like as well.
Yeah.
Because they're getting those visas. James says, Invasion sucked, but the first pay-per-view I watched was Invasion Survivor Series, and it was good. Please have a New Japan AEW version somehow. Even though it sucked, I can tell you that much like WWE does with like their highlight videos now,
right?
They had like a compilation video in 2001 called WWF Action, and it covered the Invasion era. And they made it look like it was the most exciting shit ever. And if you run a highlight of Steve Austin's heel run, you'll think it was the most entertaining thing that's ever been on their screen, because he's hanging out with Vince McMahon and singing songs with Kurt Angle and cutting promos and getting Undertaker and Kane to break on camera. Yeah, you just never know. Sawyer says, I bet G1 this year.
It will.
Hopefully the Owen tournament becomes that.
Yeah.
I do think they should just go like this is the first round instead of qualifiers. Like, who you fooling?
Yeah.
Distry says, Miro's reason for fighting and beating Sammy for the TNT title. You douchebag think that your girlfriend is hotter than my very flexible wife.
I mean, you don't have
I love
to
it.
You don't literally have to do anything. This is the guy who took the title from Miro. Miro comes back and crushes him. Now, they would be on completely opposite ends of the fan response by that point,
yes,
which would be really interesting. All Miro has to do is show up and destroy Sammy Guevara, and he's cheered like a hero.
Listen, I would love a promo of Miro saying, the reason I did this is because you said your girlfriend was hotter than my very flexible wife.
I mean, it's true.
It would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
Michael says Dustin Punk was amazing. I really liked it. I was surprised it even got criticism because I just thought it was a fun, storied match. In Simmons says, just saw Cash Dax. Hope that's the main event. Trust them to tell an amazing story. Way too early for that match in the tournament. Again, I'll bring up a lot of MMA companies are putting matches like that first round because they know. Also, if you are a booker and you say, how can I get those two to wrestle each other? Do it in the Owen, and that's how you get them to say, okay, I'll wrestle my best friend for the Hart family.
Yeah.
Hugh Janus wants Suzuki-gun versus BCC. That could be fun. That's not one that I'm aching for, but it could be fun. Right. And we finally got the last few super chats and humper chats. Big thank you, guys. But listen, there's like 1,500 of you watching. Only 300 of you have liked this. Leave those thumbs up. Just pound it, pound it, pound it, pound it. Let's go. Pound that. We need Dan Lambert cutting our promos. We want you to make girls jealous of how hard you're pounding that thumbs up button. Drew says, since Chicago and the United Center get Forbidden Door, I'm now petitioning Tony Khan for All Out to be at Arthur Ashe this year. Pretty please. That would be cool. That would be cool.
It would be cool. They did a great job with that the last time they were there.
Listen, if I just remember how hard it was getting in and out of Arthur Ashe. Right. It was a nightmare getting in and out of that. Toddy Strong says Stardom as a pay-per-view already scheduled that same day, but Mayu may be the next SWA champion, so that's probably the only shot of them participating. I do think they could afford to send a couple people over. They could. Nerd Guru says, do you think it's a Survivor Series type thing where they do 5-on-5s and no titles on the line? Not many stakes, but the spectacle is good enough. I think there will probably be a couple titles on the line. I think the spectacle of it is enough to do it at first.
Yeah.
Like that, though, or without titles. But I think it's very, very possible. Alex, I feel like you and Kate, we went 15 minutes over.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even like to go an hour and a half. But listen, if the people are here and they want us to stay and they're paying us money to stay, we are publicly funded. We are the PBS of wrestling media, just as reputable as well. But tell the people what you got going on.
Yeah, tonight we had a whole bunch of people sending in dream matches for an AEW at New Japan show. Last night we had a bunch of people super chatting puns about Natty being the boat, saying that she won with the ship shooter, but they were paying us money to say it on the air, Sean, so we had to go long. I'm sorry. You can find me on the Twitter at Alex Sourgraps and now also the Instagram, although I never post it. Also, you can find me talking about SmackDown on Fridays and Raw on Mondays. And then on Tuesdays, you do the post NXT thing. And here's the deal, Sean. I'm not going to be on this show next week because we close on the house on Thursday. So I got to take the night off.
Thanks for telling me on the air. We're calling up Bobo DeFelice. There he is. I love it. I love me some Robert DeFelice. So we'll ask him to be on the show. Bill says he'll see you later, Alex.
No, very good. And
then we've got Mike Preventer says Dark Starlight Kid versus Statlander. Well, you know what? Subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. I'm going to break some more news this week. I'm breaking news every day. What are we talking about? Today we had a bunch of stuff, but we had the Reckless Speculation podcast. The previous rumor was June 23rd for this show. Mm-hmm. We broke the accurate date and the venue and all that stuff. We're 4 for 4 on Reckless Speculation.
There you go.
Guys, until next time, we're out.